The winter months in the boreal forests of Canada and Alaska set off with a fierce chill and relentless snowfall. Temperatures plummet to well below freezing, and brutal wind chills make life unbearable for most creatures. Several feet of snow blanket the forest, smothering everything in sight under layers of white that stretch on endlessly. Snowshoe hares, however, are one of the few animals able to go about their daily lives with relative ease. Their specialized bodies, with wide, fur-covered feet, act like protective pads that keep them from sinking and allow them to hop gracefully across the deep snow. Still, these adorable hares can't roam freely without risking life and limb. In the snowy shadows lurk a predator whose silent approach is as deadly as its powerful bite. This feline, with sharp, retractable claws and long, muscular limbs, moves with creepy precision through the thick snow, making it nearly undetectable until the final, lethal moment. Its dense, frost-resistant fur lets it lie in wait, blending seamlessly into the winter landscape. Having adapted perfectly to the same brutal environment, it turns the boreal forest into a stage for its cold, calculated pursuit. Meet the feline with murder mittens, the Canadian lynx. The following video shows a pair of Canadian lynxes apparently looking all innocent and minding their own business at first. But in just a few seconds, you're about to hear one of the most unsettling sounds you'd never expect coming out of the mouth of a feline. And mind you, it just keeps getting worse. People say these sounds are pretty darn similar to those skin-crawling exorcism recordings you'd stumble upon online, and it's not hard to see why. But that's not even the most interesting part. The Canada lynx is one of the most vocal animals out there, and on their list of strange, creepy vocalizations, it can range anywhere from cat-like mews to hisses, purrs, or even growls that, however, sound unnerving more than intimidating. These sounds serve a variety of purposes, like signaling stress or fear, warning an opponent to keep their distance, or calling out a particular romantic interest. Now, unless you're a lynx yourself, you're probably not going to be too tempted by one of these, let's say, unique invitations, especially if it's meant for making love. But a lynx is a lynx, and it's not even half of their peculiar set of characteristics here. We're going to dive into the rest, but first, let's give these wild characters a proper introduction. The Canada lynx, or the Canadian lynx, known scientifically as Lynx canadensis, is a medium-sized wildcat that roams the dense boreal forests across Canada. As one of 4 living species in the lynx family, the Canadian lynx shares roots with its relatives from a common ancestor believed to have originated in Asia around 2 million years ago. From there, it migrated westward through Europe and eventually dispersed across various landscapes, with the Canadian lynx settling in the cold, snow-covered regions of Canada. Initially, it expanded toward the Arctic, but over time, it confined itself to the thick, frigid boreal forests where it thrives best. Even though it's not quite in the Arctic, life in the Canadian lynx's habitat is just as unforgiving, especially during the winter months, which can stretch from 7 to 9 months a year. Throughout this bone-chilling period, temperatures regularly plunge between 7.7 and 0.5 degrees Fahrenheit, that is. And with the relentless waist-deep snow combined with brutal, biting winds, the environment becomes a test of endurance for any creature daring enough to call this wilderness home. But for the Canadian lynx, it's just another day in the field, thanks to its perfectly adapted physique and natural instincts designed to thrive against both the unforgiving climate and the constant competition that comes with it. First off, the lynx sports a thick, long fur coat that's practically custom-made to withstand sub-zero temperatures. This fur is usually a yellowish-brown shade, though it can range from buff gray to a cooler gray depending on where it lives and the season. In some cases, you might even come across a lynx with a striking bluish-gray tint, which comes from an extremely rare genetic mutation. Nearly twice the size of a house cat, the Canadian lynx measures around 29 to 42 inches, and it stands around 19 to 22 inches tall at the shoulder. Males, being larger and heavier than females, weigh around 13 to 37 pounds, while females average between 11 to 26 pounds. Interestingly, for all this weight and thick, fluffy fur, the Canadian lynx appears quite hefty. But its build is extremely lean and agile, with over 57% of its body mass made up of skeletal muscle that generates a stealthy, powerful set of movements. The short, bobbed tail, adding another 2 to 5 inches to its overall length, completes its distinctive, sleek appearance. Besides its mesmerizing looks, the Canadian lynx is a stealth-driven predator from head to tail, especially from the tough, brutal winters it operates in. Its ears alone are a marvel of adaptation. Brown-backed and lined with black fur, they contain over 20 muscles that allow them to pivot in almost a half circle, pinpointing the exact direction of even the faintest rustling. Inside, delicate hair-like projections act like natural amplifiers that pick up and enhance sound vibrations, making prey movement impossible to miss. The Canadian lynx also has these striking black ear tufts that stick out about 1.6 inches from the top of its ears, lined with a sleek layer of black fur. While they might look like just another majestic addition to its fine outlook, these tufts actually serve a purpose, helping the stealthy predator detect airflow and gauge wind direction. This means that the lynx can determine if it should move with or against the wind to keep its scent from being detected while staying hidden till it's too late for its victim to come up with anything against its ambush. During this process, the lynx's stride becomes absolutely crucial. With snow often blanketing the ground, it's all too easy for even the lightest animal to sink into it if they linger too long in one spot. Not to mention, it's only tougher to keep moving with the freezing snow biting into the feet and slowing down every step. To sidestep this struggle, Canadian lynx's impressive paws do most of the work. These large, broad appendages come covered with an extra layer of fur that acts like built-in snowshoes, allowing them to move gracefully across delicate, icy surfaces without getting bogged down. For comparison, a 30-pound lynx has larger feet than a 200-pound mountain lion that can support twice the weight of its paws as a bobcat of a similar size. To make things even easier, the lynx's hind limbs are a bit longer, which gives its body a slight forward slope, making the steps more efficient, while also helping it lay low for ambushes. And with each sharp, retractable claw jutting out at just the right angle, it can evenly distribute its weight across the snow and keep itself anchored without slipping or sinking. Much like the rest of the lynx family, the Canadian lynx really counts on its vision along with its hearing to track down its prey. In fact, the word lynx actually comes from Greek and it means to shine. It's a reference to its reflective eyes and binocular vision. Both eyes work in sync, allowing the lynx to focus on a single point, which helps it accurately estimate the location of prey, especially in low-light conditions. This specialized vision enables the lynx to spot its prey, even when it's blended into the dense snow from as far as 250 feet away. And once it locks onto its target, the Canadian lynx takes its time tracking and hiding to set up the perfect ambush. It climbs trees, hides in well-worn trails, or even swims across long distances to catch its prey off guard. As a skilled climber and swimmer, the lynx prefers ambush tactics over chasing down prey, which not only saves energy but is more efficient in snow-covered environments where resources are already scarce. This snowshoe hare thinks it's blending perfectly into the white snow as it scours the land for food along its band during the heavy storm. But lurking nearby is a hungry Canadian lynx, with its eyes fixed on the unsuspecting hare. It moves forward in the snow, and just before launching its deadly pounce, the hare senses the danger. The entire group panics, alerting one another, but it's already too late. After a dramatic chase through the deep snow where the snowshoe hare tries to dodge, leap, and even hide under the snow, the cunning lynx manages to grab it by the head, soaking its pristine white fur in blood as the rest of the hares flee in terror. Meanwhile, this lethal predator has already engaged in a blood-soaked clash with a white-tailed deer, managing to bring down prey 4 times its size. Now, against the backdrop of a red-stained, snowy canvas, the ruthless lynx is about to feast on its prized catch. During these intense hunts, they can leap over 6 feet high and cover distances of up to 25 feet in a single bound, ensuring no escape for their prey. Snowshoe hares remain the Canadian lynx's most preferred and readily available food source throughout the year. Depending on how abundant they are in the area, hares can make anywhere from 35 to 97% of the lynx's total kills. Interestingly, if hare populations decline in one area, the lynx will follow suit and relocate to a region where hares are more plentiful. That being said, it doesn't mean that it won't go for anything else at all, of course. The Canadian lynx will happily hunt ducks, grouse, moles, ptarmigan, squirrels, voles, and even large prey like Dall's sheep, mule deer, and boreal woodland caribou, which can be up to 20 to 30 times their size. Oddly, they've also been known to snack on plants like succulents, sedges, and grasses, though the reason for this is still a bit of a mystery. When hunting smaller prey like a hare or a mouse, the lynx goes straight for the head, pouncing and killing swiftly. But with larger animals, it adapts the typical feline tactic by tearing apart the throat, and then waiting for the animal to succumb on its own. To make this happen, their set of 28 specialized predatory teeth, including 4 long, razor-sharp canines for gripping and puncturing, come into play. These specialized teeth are equipped with nerve endings, allowing them to literally feel where they're biting, which helps them deliver more accurate and lethal puncture wounds. There are also large gaps between the 4 canines and the rest of the teeth, which ensure their bite goes as deep as possible into their prey. While they're expert hunters, lynxes also scavenge on carcasses of large animals that have fallen due to the cold or have been hit by vehicles. However, unlike most of the apex predators, their hunting grounds aren't exactly empty. They gotta deal with competitors like mountain lions and coyotes. These showdowns can get pretty intense, with each predator using its own set of skills to get the upper hand in the icy landscape. The study highlighted that Canadian lynx killed more hares than any of their competition and even supplemented their diet with other prey as well. While this shows their dominance and ability to adapt in a harsh environment, the numbers don't quite capture the intense face-off battles between these lethal predators over the limited food supply. With humans, the Canadian lynx's remote habitat actually works in its favor. These cats prefer at least 2 acres of undisturbed land, and most of them can be found in hilly, elevated areas, sometimes thousands of feet above the sea level. Because of this, they don't often cross paths with human settlements, and even if they do, the lynx isn't the type to cause problems. Despite being a ruthless predator in its own environment, there's no record of a lynx attacking or killing a human to date. Canadian lynx are solitary creatures, only hanging out with others when it's time to mate or when mom's raising her young. They don't like sharing territory with other lynx, especially if they're the same sex. But with their large teeth and vicious sharp claws, they can seriously hurt another lynx, or even themselves if things get too physical. So to avoid that mess at all, they use their creepy, unsettling screams as a warning to any lynx that gets too close. Most of the time this does the trick, things don't escalate into an actual fight. However, that doesn't mean their predatory instincts just vanish out of nowhere. Sometimes, when food's really tough to find, lynx might even go as far as killing and eating another lynx, just showing how wild and unpredictable they are. And when the mating season rolls around, the male Canadian lynx starts following the females, leaving behind urine trails and again making those almost otherworldly calls as a sort of invitation. If the female's into it, she'll allow him to mate, after which he'll often end up mating with multiple females in just a month. And once the deed is done, the female goes through a gestation period of 2 to 3 months, which eventually results in a litter of 1 to 8 kittens. These kittens are born blind, but after about 5 weeks, they leave the den and they start hunting around 7 to 9 months of age. Females hit sexual maturity at about 10 months, but they usually hold off on breeding for another year, while males mature between 2 and 3 years and then they venture off to live a solitary life, often reaching up to 16 years in the wild, although most of them don't make it past 10 in such a harsh environment. Due to their remote habitat, no one really knows the exact number of Canadian lynx out there, but the IUCN Red List has enough confidence in their population to place them in the least concern category. Overall, looks like they're not going away anytime soon, meaning the snowshoe hares are going to have to keep watching their backs as they hop around the snowy terrain. Anyways, have you ever heard an animal call creepier than the lynxes? Share your spooky encounters down in the comments, and as always, I'll catch you in the next one.